Hello, I'm Michael Redmond, professional 9-dan Go player. In this video, I'm going to show you a game I played against Yamabe Toshiro 9-dan. Quite recently, I made a video for the AGA YouTube channel of a game between Yamabe Toshiro and Go Seigen. So that reminded me of a game I played against Yamabe Toshiro, and that's what I'm going to show you today. So this game was played in 1988 in the second section of the Tengen tournament. So it was more than 30 years ago now. But it is interesting because we're going to get into a 3-3 point invasion actually. It's very similar to what people are playing now. So there's a point of interest there. I have the white stones. At the time I was just a 5-dan pro. So my opponent was a 9-dan pro. It was still one of the 1988 was the year when I started to play against top ranked players. So it was a game, one of my first games against one of these famous players, you might say. And so I was a bit overawed actually. I had a great respect for my opponent. You can see black is playing the Sanensei. This is an opening that I started to like at about this time also, maybe a bit after this game. And I slide. We know that computer programs nowadays, obviously I didn't see that at the time because it was 30 years ago and we didn't have computer programs that were stronger than pros at that time. Computer programs would be suggesting at any point invading the 3-3 point. So they don't really like this sliding move, and they would prefer playing, for instance, something like this towards the lower side, or maybe another a 3-3 invasion would be probably okay at any point in this opening. I'm talking about the upper left corner when I say 3-3 point invasion. This is a point where I think an AI might choose to play here. But I slided. That was the Joseki at the time. And black played here. This was, even with the ideas that we had at the time, this would be an opportunity for white to jump into the 3-3 point. Something like this might happen. For instance, something like this. This is a Joseki. Black has a number of choices at the time, even for 4. But when black does have that stone, let's mark this stone on the upper side. When black has this stone, black does usually, even at the time, black did not usually play this Joseki, which is going to end in Gote, even if you play the old-fashioned Joseki. And it was more common for black to either extend, as I was showing here, or to play the knight's move, which both of which are modern Josekis that you can find with computer programs. In the game I jumped here. The idea with this move that I was going to, first of all, if black, in the game black played a Kakari, if black had answered something like this, then I was probably thinking of playing something, maybe it would still be a good move to play the 3-3 invasion, or maybe I was planning to jump inside black's moyo here. So I was thinking that this exchange of the jump for black 1 is probably an advantage for white when white lives on the left side. So I think that was my plan. In the game black played a Kakari here. This is also a good point for white to be playing, so it's a big move. And I pincered. So this makes sense. With the jump here, I do want to start to develop on the lower side. So I didn't want to allow black to make an extension towards the lower side there. Black attaches on the top and pulls back. So since white has already played this move, black's idea is probably to try to make the lower side, to give the lower side to white and try to make it over concentrated. If I had played here, black would probably cut. This was actually an option for me because I can kick from the corner, threatening to play at A next. So this would be a viable option for me, with a fairly nice position on the lower side too. Black has to answer white 7 in order to have a living shape, because if white plays a Hane at A, then it will not be alive. In the game I connected, a very solid move, and black played here. And this is where it gets interesting. In the game I played an attachment on the top. Basically my idea was to break through here and cut these 3 black stones on the lower side out, cut them off. Katago was suggesting that I should kick here. This is also a move that I could have played at the time. It's not a move that would be unconceivable. And if black plays on the outside, then I do have I have sente, so I can finish with sente. The white stones in the corner, at any point they can capture this stone. So for instance, if at some point black plays here, I can actually live with this move, or even play away and I'll be alive in that corner. So black does not have that forcing move. So this would be okay for me. In the game I played here, I'm going after those 3 black stones on the lower side. And black should have ideas of sacrificing the lower side, hopefully to get the corner, for instance, or to get a good position on the right side. In the game, he extended here. Now this was an aggressive move. He could have just connected, in which case I have 2 choices. Like I can shut off the corner. This is maybe the better move to stop black from invading at the through 3-point. Or I can play here, which is simply cutting black off. So if I play in the corner, black will probably connect up on top, and I get to take territory. So in this opening, I'm taking a territory here, and I probably have the corner territory here, and I have a position in the upper right. So I have potential to be taking a lead in territory, and I also have the wedge here, which potentially will be able to cut black off. So there's some weakness there for black. Black would probably handle that by just sacrificing these 3 stones, if white actually goes ahead and does that. So this would be a relatively even opening. Otherwise, if I play this way, then black can jump into the 3-3-point. And the point here is that if I play like this, then black is getting the corner. Later on, this will be a forcing move. White's gain on the lower side is probably not that decisive. Like that, black is getting had sente to move back to the upper left area, and also has a very nice territory in the corner. This should be just fine for black. In the game, he did not connect there. So instead of connecting here, which is the suggested move, he extended, and I countered by cutting here. And so we got into a bit of a fight here. White extends, and locally it's going to be painful for black to try to live. Like if black tries stuff like this, it's not as if it's going to die, but at any point white can jump out here and cut black off on the lower side. Or if black tries to put pressure on white by crawling here, then white can also move out this way, and it's perfectly safe. This kind of fight would just be very, very dangerous for black. White has good points on the right side, and black is split up in the center. So this would be okay for me. In the game, black dives into the through 3-point. This seems to make sense, and I played here. This move was approved by the computer programs I used to analyze this game. And black covered here. Black's other option was to crawl. And this would be white just capturing those black stones. I could play anywhere to capture them. I found this really interesting. The suggested move was to peep here. The idea is that if black connects here, then white will have this connection on the second line at this point left behind. Whereas if I fail to play that move, and I simply play something like this, then black will be able to force with this move. And that peep on the second line is going to go away. So it's a really interesting move to peep here to see how black reacts. So black might answer this way, but in this way I have captured those 2 black stones on the side with something like this. This would be perfectly playable for white. In the game, black did not do it that way. Black played a much more strong move. Black covered on the second line, and I protected, and black jumps out. I had an option here. In the game, I played here, and the suggested move was to play here. So that means just that there was a problem with this move, which I was not noticing at the time, and that is that after this exchange, in the game, black moved out with the lower side, but this was actually an opportunity for black to sacrifice these 3 stones. And the reason he can sacrifice them is that I've left the opportunity for black to live in the corner. And that was going back to this move. If I had played here, the whole corner would be white's territory. When I play this way, black actually has the option of playing down here, threatening to connect by playing here on the second line. That would connect up to the side. And if white answers here, black can play the hane. And at this point, I have to cut this off from the group on the left. So I would play here and capture the group on the left, but black would have this life left in the corner. Black would probably just play away, but black has this life left in the corner. And because black has this potential life in the corner, it means that the value of my capturing this is, I'm not capturing the whole lower side, I'm just capturing these 3 stones on the left side. So having the potential to live, which is a move that's about 20 points. Having that move left behind reduces the value of my attack on the lower side. So black had this was black's opportunity to play this move. In the game, black moved out. Moving out turns out to be a very dangerous way for black to play. So I played here. It wouldn't be so wise for me to, for instance, cut. If I cut, black has the cut here. Black would probably start actually with extending here and looking with ideas to squeeze from this side, or if white answers on this side, then black can try to squeeze from this side. And it looks a bit cramped for white. Although white can win the race to capture, this would actually be a losing game for white. It would be too many stones to surround the lower side. So I don't want to actually try to capture the stones on a small scale. I want to allow black to escape. And I got to play the bamboo joint here. So this was actually good for white. And this move, 38, extending on the 5th line. No, that's the 6th line. Extending on the 6th line. This was a decisive move. It was a good move. And I should mention one thing is that playing in the corner here now, it's not such a big deal anymore. Because, for instance, even if I play like this, I will be able to connect up to the left side. In this case, I would just push through here. But you can see that the white group is not in danger when I have the potential connection up to the left side here. And so that's not a problem for me anymore. And once black has played all of these moves to move out here, that makes that group on the left that much bigger, much more important for white to be able to capture it. So living in the corner is not a meaningful option for black anymore now. In the game, black extended. Basically, if black plays on this side, I can still cut here. And there's some problems on the right side there. Like there's a problem with white pushing through here and pushing through here. So when black fills that liberty by playing at 1, that's actually filling one of his own liberties, weakening his group. And now he has trouble in the center of the board. So it looks like, in this variation, it looks like black's going to lose these 3 stones, which would be really bad for black. So in the game, black extends. I get to push through. He covers. This was an important order of moves because I get to actually capture this stone. So if I had cut from the wrong side, black would play here and then probably just take the 1 stone. So that would be a ponuki, a captured stone in the middle of the board, which is really, really important. And black would be able to squeeze from the outside. Black's position there is sort of holding together. So this would be a good position overall. And black would have thickness pointing towards the center of the board, which is really important in these Sannensei openings. It's a board position where black has this framework on the left side of the board, which works well with strength in the center, because this center area, it can turn into a black territory. So I didn't want to do that, but by cutting from this side first, and now you see if black plays this way, it's just that much less of a good shape for black. In fact, in this case, there would be a lot of trouble with this cut here, and black would still be weak in the center of the board. So it's that difference of having 2 stones here by capturing a white stone, and just having this 1 stone at 1, which is much weaker. So this would be good for white. In the game, black has to connect. And so when I cut next, in this case, it comes in Atari. If I want to save that stone at 1, I have to extend. And then you could see that the stone at 3 has become a wasted stone here, this stone. So by cutting on this side first, I avoid having to play that stupid point that I was playing in the other variation. This move is just becomes a wasted move for white, it's better for me not to be playing that move, but immediately taking the black stone. So that's good for me. Black plays an Atari. I don't happen to have any effective ko threats at this time. It would be a big ko if I started a ko here. So I answered that. And black gets a good shape here. I get to cut. And black just sacrificed the one stone. If I were black, maybe I would have played on this side. It is becoming a difficult fight for black. For instance, white can... maybe white would start with this. And white can play a peep here. And it looks dangerous for black to push through. So white can get a very nice shape on the lower side here with this sequence. More than 25 points. White, the corner territory is probably going to be white's territory. So white does have an advantage in territory. And the fact that this black group here is not completely settled is going to give me opportunities to chase it. And by chasing it, I can move into black's moyo, because this area is where black is trying to build a big territorial framework. By chasing black, I can just chase it and sort of flow into the black framework as I do so. So that gives me opportunities to have a nice flow there, invading the black territory. So in the game, black jumped here, and black is threatening me on the lower side, but I read this out and I thought I was going to be okay. So once I've played here, it turns out I have a slight lead. And black peeps here. If white connects here, black can peep here. Even if black plays something like this, it looks like it's going to be relatively difficult for white to connect up on the side. So that would really squeeze my group on the lower side. In the game, I played here. And black cut here. I had the variation read out. Actually, I could have come from below, I think. But in the game, I connected on the top, and this move worked fine. So black jumps, and I'm going to use the stone pillar Tetsuji to capture this black group. It's also called the tombstone because it's the shape of a tombstone. So in the game, I attached here first. The Tetsuji I'm talking about here is extending down to the first line like this, and white gets to squeeze black by sacrificing two or three stones. It doesn't work yet because white's weak on the right side. So for instance, if I play on this side, black can capture it. Or if I play on this side, black can just start filling my liberties. I'm going to lose by one move here. So it was important that I started in the game with this move. And we have to notice that black is short of liberties. For instance, if black plays something like this, then I can capture these black stones in the center. So that's not going to work for black. Black has to cover on the right side. My corner is taking some damage, but it's okay because I have this strong position in the center. So that white group is perfectly okay. So I push through. Now I can use the stone pillar Tetsuji. And if black in the game, black played here, but if black continues by taking it, now this works. I have one extra liberty. Like, for instance, we could do it this way. And white wins by one move. So that's my plan here. And black played away now. So after I extended down, black left it for now and played this move. And now I jump into the I played once and then jumped into the 3-3 point. So here we're finally seeing the 3-3 point. Computer programs will be suggesting invading the 3-3 point at move number 5 or move number 6 very, very early in the game. And that was true of this game also when I analyzed it with a computer program. But it's still a good move. It came maybe a bit late if we believe the modern computer programs, but it's still okay. It's still a good point to play. In fact, it's almost perfect in this board position. And black plays this move. And this move, relatively rare at the time. Like, it was played in this opening where black has this Sannensei opening. It was played in game positions, board positions, where black had these stones in the center of the sides. So it sort of fits with this opening. And so it wasn't played so much in other positions. So it was sort of special to this particular position when we were playing it at the time. In the game, I played this move. Now, this move is one variation of the 3-3 Joseki, which is considered to be rather complicated. In the game, black pulled back here, but if black had covered here, it's likely that white would just play this way. And because black has this stone here, black has some reinforcing stones in the area, white will probably not start the very sharp fight, but instead will probably just live in the corner. So white can play here, and black has to do something about the cutting point, and white can live with 10 points, and black probably needs one more stone in the vicinity. Like usually black would connect here, or play a hanging connection maybe. And so this would be the way we play it now. And at the time, maybe we would have played it that way, but black pulls back here, I play a hane. And this is where actually I think I would suggest that white can play here. And if black tries to squeeze from this side, white can just cut. And white's getting a nice position invading the left side. So white can afford to sacrifice, well, not even sacrifice them. White can afford to have this fight on both sides actually. Or if black plays from this side, it's okay for white to just take the one stone. And white has a nice position on the side. So that's another way I could have played. In the game I played here. And I have to choose which side to play. There's pros and cons for each side. So in the game I played on this side. That means that black will have some forcing moves in relation to this cut. So moves like in this area will be forcing for black. Or he might just cover on top. If I had played on the other side, then he would have had an immediate forcing move here, which is pretty big in this case. So in the game I took, and black, at this point black actually seems to be already setting up his resignation, because actually Yamabe Toshiro was famous for his early resignations, and I think he's not satisfied with the game position. It turns out white did have a slight lead. I wasn't really convinced at the time. Like I was a 5-dan and playing a 9-dan. I only started playing 9-dans in the tournaments in that year, in 1988. I wasn't so sure of myself. And so I wasn't really expecting him to resign for me. So I connect here, and black still cannot capture these two stones because I squeeze like this and I'm going to win the race to capture. So instead black starts something here. Basically, if black does a move something like this, it's just not good enough to win the race to capture. So if white captures these two stones, even if black pushes through here, white has these two liberties on top while black is in Atari at this point. So it's not working. So he tries to extend his liberties here. He's trying to extend his liberties, but it didn't quite work. Now he plays the Atari, and I squeeze. And obviously if black continues taking here, I will end up playing this point, and it's the same race to capture. So something like this, and I get to play an Atari here and win by one move. Or otherwise, if black plays an Atari, this doesn't really help black because black cannot push through here. It's immediately an Atari here. So that's not working either. So he's trying something on the side. I capture the three stones. And at any point, if I play here, I'm going to be alive in the corner. So black has to do something about that. And this was the finishing move. So with this move, I'm either alive in the corner, or if I get to play this point, if I get to play this mark point, black is going to be very short on liberties. So for instance, if black connects here, then I can play here to live in the corner. So that was the point of my extending down here, to have that move to live next. And it doesn't change even if black plays the peep here. I can still live in the corner with this move. So in order to kill the corner, black would have to extend here, and I would be okay by playing this. And you can see that on the side, black has a very severe shortage of liberties. Like black has only 1 or 2 moves left, and white is stronger in the corner. So after this, black actually resigned, And it was all in the fight, starting from the lower right area. I'd like to recap just a little bit, looking at this fight here. When I jumped out here, this was Black's opportunity to reduce the corner. So this was a point in the game where Black has to be flexible and think in terms of sacrificing these 3 stones. And it would be big if the whole side was white, but since Black has this move in the corner, and it's good for Black to establish this potential life before playing away, because if Black simply plays away, then later on when this is finished, maybe I would be going after the whole group with something like this. And so before I reinforce that area, it's good for Black to sort of test my response by playing this early and getting a potential life in the corner. That move would be about 20 points. So now Black can play away. This is bigger than 20 points, so Black's just going to leave that potential life in the corner and play a big move there in the upper left. So this would be okay for Black. In the game, Black moved out, and this turned out to be probably the losing mistake. So that was my game against Yamabe Toshiro. In my commentaries of my own games, I will be trying to show you games of players who are relatively well known, so that people who have been around watching Go for a long time will recognize the games. So that's it for this video, and thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed.